and my dear friends, I am Ritam Bhattacharya, delighted to propose the motion that school education must be made free and compulsory to all children across the world. Education is the greatest way to empower and uplift people. Years of schooling builds in us a scientific bent of mind which helps us make rational decisions and debunk the commonly accepted myths of society. Education is also the most effective way to integrate people from the fringes of society into the mainstream. Globally, due to our capitalistic economy, the poor continue to remain impoverished because of a large number of resources and services are priced well above their means. It is here that free and compulsory education ensures that their children can achieve their true potential without being forced to continue with the low-paying jobs of their parents. Free and compulsory education also discourages the practice of child labor and ensures that students stay in school longer. So how does this help? Well, staying at schools longer not only teaches students basic scientific principles but also teaches them principles of democracy, self-government, their fundamental rights and duties. The schools also give us a sense of equality in classroom, imbibe important lessons in discipline and punctuality, and also teaches us to live in harmony with our peers. Looking back at history, we can really see that the pen is mightier than the sword, and I shall give you 3 examples. My first example would be the French Revolution. It was the educated middle class in the French Revolution who were primarily responsible for overthrowing the nobility and the clergy. Second, closer home in India, it was B.R. Ambedkar. After he received education, he almost single-handedly enforced many acts in the parliament, which today guarantees numerous rights, not just education, but in also various other fields to the people from the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. Malala Yousafzai, as we all know, has been an inspiration to millions of children across the world, forcing them to take up their own cause of education. So, now let us look at why the schooling system is so important. Well, to start with, the school is the first community that the students have a realistic part to play in. The schools are a great platform for students to develop their lateral talents. Inspiration and motivation from peers go a long way in shaping the mindset of a child. We all have fond memories of our schooling, don't we? Now let's come to another contentious issue which my opponents might point out, of dropouts from school, saying that the education system is wrong, forcing students to drop out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is completely wrong. Dropouts happen due to various other social factors, which I personally believe that the government must address to enforce the free and compulsory education. It was when the government realized that most students who drop out end up in the informal sector earning meager wages that they introduced a scheme like the midday meal scheme, which has shown immense success in retaining the students in school. Yes, sir.
You said about the you talked about the midday meal, but I would like to bring to your attention how recent studies have shown that the midday meals are actually not healthy for the students.
Okay, thank you. Well, this midday meal was one instance in India. And to go to your quality part of it, I do not know which study you have mentioned to, because there have been studies from the Harvard Business School which have applauded the midday meal scheme in India. So I think that is a very contentious point over here. But the main thing that we must consider is that the midday meals have succeeded in retaining a large percentage of students in the schools. Let us look at the fact that illiteracy and poverty certainly goes hand in hand. Another example is of South America. When the government started to roll back fees, there was a sudden increase in the number of enrollments that the schools had generated. Looking even at our epics such as the Mahabharata, we see the sad tale of Ekalavya, who could not attain his full potential only because of the handicap imposed to him because of paying his guru dakshina. In today's education system, the handicap is going to affect us in other ways. Large debts are the biggest, large debts is another big determinant from the poor students trying to get educated. So we must remove these barriers. And okay, now let's come to some rebuttal. Now they will say that the quality in education, if you're making it compulsory, cannot be ensured. Well, it can be ensured. To start with, if the government intelligently invests in massive open online courses in classrooms, that certainly can guarantee the quality that the students will receive. Lastly, we must realize that the challenge to free and compulsory education that the world faces is not economic but rather political. The US-backed World Bank describes education as a free market demand and supply problem and not as a public service. This has led to developing countries such as sub-Saharan countries spending more on military and developed nations giving insignificant aid to the developing nations. We must all realize the gravity of the situation and work together to promote universal, free and compulsory education. With that, I am proud to propose. Thank you.